Hey, you guys, this is CJ here. We're here with podcast 88 for multifamily tips. And today we have Ashley, who is our multifamily property manager. So really excited today to kind of go through everything multifamily from an investment side and how you can decide what type of multifamily you want to invest into, whether that's syndications, buying your own multifamily properties, and what to really look for. So I'll hand it over to Ashley to introduce herself, and we'll hop into questions.
Hi, I'm Ashley. I am the property manager for Independence Property Management for the multifamily assets. And then just, some thoughts on the multifamily real estate. Do you want me to jump into?
Yeah, let's just jump into it.
Okay. So one of the questions a lot of people ask is the thoughts on why someone should invest in multifamily real estate. So a couple of reasons that I think would be a good reason to invest would be the multifamily real estate is a reliable, quick cash flow. It's something that you can invest in and see your return back pretty quickly. You can create passive income and build long-term wealth. Multifamily is easier to finance and quicker to expand your investment portfolio. So you can build a lot quicker by having more property. And then there's also demand for multifamily. So especially with the market that we've been in, the crazy housing market, I think that's pushed people to apartment living until they find their next home. So there's always going to be a demand for multifamily. So it's almost like recession proof in a way. So protect your assets. And then you also have better management options like me. So you can have actually someone to do the work for you, manage the property. And then you just kind of sit back and see your wealth build. So.
Yeah, I think that's great what you hit on, right? It's easier to scale, and the way I like to look at it is it's all in one place. So it's easier for you, the property manager, to manage because you're not going around to all these different single family homes trying to do maintenance requests. I also like that it's a single roof, right? Some of the, you're only having to maybe a bigger payment, but you're only having to do it once and not, a lot of small jobs, which I think is a huge benefit. From maybe you can speak to the tenant base that you see, maybe the difference between multifamily versus single family homes, and just the length of stay, or however you want to take that question. When someone's kind of thinking about, oh, should I go buy this 4-unit, for example, or should I just buy a single family home? What are those things that you think someone should be taking into consideration when making that decision?
So I guess the biggest strategy for making that decision would be, one, you want to choose what type of market you're in. So do you want to, kind of what class do you want to cater to? Do you want senior properties? Do you want, just multifamily of all ages? You got to kind of decide what market you want to cater to. And then you also want to see your location. Where do you want to be at? And then decide on how much you want to spend, what's your budget, and then you can narrow down your search. So. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. I guess for someone who said, hey, I've heard great things about multifamily, I think I'm going to have a lot stronger cash flow. How would you recommend someone to kind of navigate towards actually being able to purchase multifamily? Like you said, it's very competitive, this asset class. A lot of people are wanting to buy, but how does someone make effort towards doing that? And then I have some input there as well I'd like to talk to.
Yeah. I think you would honestly just need to find a real estate agent or a broker, just to kind of, CJ. So you would contact CJ for any type of investing in multifamily or single family homes. But yeah, finding your investor, your company to work for.
Yeah. And I think a big decision that I would say for people who are listening to this, and maybe you have gotten into buying a single family home rental, you've realized you want to go into multifamily, I think it's understanding what type of investment you're looking. So here at Freedom, we do sell some small multifamilies to our turnkey buyers. But a big part in these last couple of years has been investing capital into larger apartment syndications, where we're actually pooling the funds from ourselves and multiple investors to go put towards the down payment in the rehab budget to then go improve an asset. And basically what's different about that is you have ownership, you're getting a specific preferred return, but you are not dealing with all the headaches, maybe day to day, or having to make all the decisions with someone like you, right? It's a much more passive opportunity where you're going to get a quarterly report and get your cash flow, and then typically have a bigger exit whenever we sell or refinance the asset. So it's just a decision of, do you want the true ownership where maybe you can do a little bit, get a higher return, but you're probably going to have to put a lot more work into it yourself, right? From a time perspective. Or do you want to work with another operator such as Freedom Capital, or there are many out there to, make those investments? And I think it just depends on where you're at in your investing career and how active you want to be.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would just say that from a multifamily perspective, it depends what size you're looking at for making an investment, but you have to, obviously reaching out to brokers or commercial agents who are involved with the multifamily asset space. But I've bought in multi-units off of Craigslist. I've bought in them from wholesalers. There are a lot of ways to find opportunities off market, not just what's listed on the MLS or on LoopNet, right? A lot of agents, because it is in such a high demand, they have people who they've built relationships with, and they call them pocket listings, right? They're just they know this opportunity is coming available, and they'll send it to those who they know can actually close on the asset. So I guess maybe you can discuss a little bit how you feel the multifamily property management is different than single family and property management. Are there any differences there, how you manage the asset from your perspective?
From my perspective, I'm not too sure because I have not managed single family homes. I've only done multifamily. But I guess it could be different. One, like you said, everyone's under one roof. A little bit easier to, I guess, remember apartment numbers and the way the property's set up, and how the units are addressed, and also closer tenant relationships too. So I feel like you see them more frequently. They stop by the office. You're in contact with them more frequently than I think you do a single family home.
Yep.
So that would be different. And then I think they're different too, because I feel like multifamily, it's gonna generate more cash flow for you than single family home, and I think that's the biggest one right there.
Yeah.
You can get more. You can get more for your money, pretty much, in one space rather than just having a single family home.
Exactly. Yeah. Typically, you're paying a little less per door, right? You'll hear like, "Oh, we're selling this asset at $50,000 per door," whereas the single families in the area may be $150,000 a door, right? And yes, maybe you're getting $100 or $200 less in rent for the size, but it's typically not as significant for the price difference. So certainly the cash flow has been stronger, and that's why I personally have only purchased, besides a single family home to live in, I've only purchased small multifamilies because I wanted that cash flow. I think a key difference is, like you said, the cash flow is higher, but there are some additional expenses that someone needs to think about when they are investing in multifamily. So I was just working with one of our investors, and he had bought and sold single family homes before, but it was a new thing for him to have to, when he's budgeting or like underwriting his deals, to think about, well, in Ohio here, we have snow removal, right? We have lawn mowing. And so typically for single family homes, some of those activities are put on the tenant from a responsibility standpoint. But from a multifamily, we're normally organizing the lawn mowing, the snow removal, and also sometimes in these multifamily units, the utilities aren't separately metered, right? So maybe you're responsible for the water, or you're responsible for the electrical, just because if they're not split out or separated, how are you going to decide who pays for that? So there's ways to get around that by just charging a certain amount or proportionally, but just something to be cognizant of when you're doing your underwriting, that there might be additional expenses than when you're underwriting single family homes. Yeah. I guess when you say there is how do you kind of view multifamily in moving forward from where we're at from an economic environment, right? So right now, interest rates are going up a lot. People are nervous about buying homes, but how do you think that's going to impact multifamily in general?
I honestly think there's nothing but growth for the multifamily. From like my generation standpoint, there's not too many homeowners. So they go more towards the multifamily units. They don't want to be, I guess, I don't want to say tied down, but tied down in a sense. They want like simplicity. They want maintenance taken care of. They want landscaping taken care of. So you get that type of group that, goes more towards multifamily. And then I just lost my train of thought.
You're good. I agree completely with that. And I think going into that, people are also, they're not wanting to worry about it from a maintenance perspective, but they're also wanting more amenities, right? So typically, when you start getting into maybe not a 4-unit, but you start getting into these larger apartment complexes, there's other amenities that are being provided, whether it's a playground, a pool, a workout facility, or just a front office person, a maintenance person, whatever that may be. I think you're able to consolidate that and be able to provide more for the tenant base at a lower price point, and that is obviously desirable, and I think will continue to be so as time moves on. And exactly right what you said. So many of my friends have said, with the interest rates, I'm going to hold off on buying, even though people have great jobs and these different things, they're scared off by the higher payments that they're going to have. And in my opinion, they should still move forward with buying if that's what they truly want, right? They can always refinance later, but it's definitely an interesting situation to navigate. I guess just for our viewers may like to hear, do you have any like fun stories being in the multifamily property management space, or a scary story, maybe not too much to scare them off from the investment moving forward, but just something fun that they may like hearing about?
I have some pretty crazy stories. I've done a couple takeovers where we've basically bought over the property and transitioned ownership, and we came into like a management company that had left, like pretty much abandoned the property. So these residents were without heat for a couple of months. They were without hot water. So they were mad. And we got the brunt end of everything because we were there, kind of cleaning up the mess. Yep. And I mean, we have gotten cussed at, we've gotten spit on. There's just all kinds of stuff, and you have to learn to not take it personal. Because that kind of stuff can upset you a little bit. But the good thing is for, you investing in multifamily is you do have that property management dealing with that for you. So, we're the ones that take the brunt end of it, but we're handling that job for you. So, yeah. And then there's some good stories too. I've worked in senior community, like multifamily, 55 and over. And just making their day, especially I managed a property during the pandemic. They didn't have family visiting them. The community rooms were shut down. Fitness center was shut down. So they came in my office and talk a lot to me, and just talking to them or bringing your kid in to see, or your dog to come in and see them, it made their day. So that was kind of happy that I got to make their day during the pandemic, and it was just so lonely for them. So yeah, they struggled hard with not having family visiting them. So. Yeah. And I agree, right? You see some wild things in the living conditions that people live in, but therein lies the opportunity, right? I think for a lot of people who are looking to invest is wanting to elevate the living conditions and experience of their tenants, and thus being able to achieve maybe higher rents. I've come into properties in the last year or two that hadn't had a rent increase in 10 plus years, but they also had very little, if no repairs done to their units in that time.
and there's just extreme deferred maintenance. Things are broken, right? And being able to, it can be as simple as, replacing doors, or just like you said, like making sure there's hot and cold water there, their ACs are working properly, all these different things that just are going to elevate their living condition and experience. Is something that I really enjoy, like helping and trying to provide that safe, clean environment for people to reside in. So, yeah, it's definitely rewarding, both financially and emotionally, like as you're helping others.
Right. And that's kind of why it's important too, to, I guess, do your research when it comes to property management companies. Like if you have someone managing your multifamily for you, just getting someone in there who is experienced, they have a history, like background in property management, so that they can handle those everyday struggles and the everyday operations for the property, and hopefully go in the right direction with it. So you see more cash flow, you see less maintenance, less unit turns, more tenant retention. So that's the important reason for getting a good property management company.
Yeah, I love that you hit on that, Ashley. So my role as investor relations here is I take all our investors' client calls. I'm the first point of contact for people who are looking to buy turnkeys, do private lending with us, as well as apartment syndications. And when people are talking about turnkey or, active ownership, the number one question I get is, what is your management fee, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, great. 10%, right? And we can go into more detail on that, but they never ask what you just said. How do you actually manage the property, right? What is your track record? Like, you go do visits. How do you organize all your receipts, right? All the expenses that come through in a month, like all these things that truly matter, because, for me, I never wanted to do that part, right? I never wanted to be responsible for the property management perspective because I had another job. It isn't going to be my main focus. And I think a lot of people look at that cost of 10% as a cost, but I truly think there is so much value that a property manager can bring to an investor, right? Like for me, when I first bought my first duplex, I needed a new fridge, for example, right? And I would have gone to Home Depot and spent $800 on a new fridge, right? But they knew a route for like a cheaper way to get that. And I realized the value just there, right? Like I didn't have to go do the research, spend hours of my time, go to Home Depot, coordinate the delivery, and they were able to get it done cheaper, quicker, faster with me not having to worry about it. And that was a huge win. And I said, yes, 100%. I am all in on the property management because they have the expertise.
Yep. Yeah, we definitely build those vendor relationships so that we can, who to go to if this is happening, who to go to if the roof's leaking, or if your refrigerator goes out, So we do try to build those vendor relationships so that we have someone that can get there to handle it right away. Yeah.
So actually a loaded question here as we kind of wrap up. If someone is interested in apartment or multifamily or apartment investing, what is the best way for them to move forward with us?
Well, you would just contact CJ. He is with our Freedom Capital Investment Group. So you just contact him and he'll walk you through and, ask what you're looking for, what you want to see, where you want to be, and then they can help you from there.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, exactly that. So you guys, if you, there will probably be a link below, whether you're watching this on YouTube or on our podcast, right? That has a link to Freedom Capital, and you can go in there, schedule a call, or just see, kind of review the different investment options that we have, and would love to have a conversation and help you navigate that journey. So hopefully you can reach out there, and really looking forward to working with you. But actually, we end all of these with saying, invest smart,
live happy.
Awesome.
I do have one more thing to input. It's really important.
Oh, please.
Just a little share is 90% of all millionaires have become millionaires by investing in property. So I just wanted to share that.
No, agreed. I mean, I think that was a big incentive for me to get involved with real estate investing a long time ago, and why everyone should do it, right? Whether it's via just your own personal home to start, or doing rental properties or flips. There's so many ways to accumulate wealth via real estate, whether you want to be active or passive in it. All right. Well, we'll end it here, like we do with every podcast. Invest smart.
Live happy.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys.
Bye.
Nothing on this show should be considered specific personal or professional advice. Please consult an appropriate tax, legal, real estate, financial, or business professional for individualized advice. Opinions and information on this show are not guaranteed. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss.